Oh, that's what they say in the movies, you know.
I'm not denying that. I mean, I'm recognizing all of the options, but I'm not choosing that one for me, but thank you.
Mm.
Well, I got the recorder on, and so we're ready for the second
And thank
session
you
of
for
the
that.
night.
Hopefully you have that recorder on. There's all sorts of great stuff to being tossed around just now.
Yeah.
Yeah, uh, for sure. So we welcome Chuck again. Chuck Crum comes to our channel with some great regularity, and we're very familiar. The ones that were here, we know this man, and of course Disetu. And we always are gratified by the wonderful ease in which he comes in and out of his channel states and the messages that he delivers with great depth and great care. One of the most caring persons that I have experienced in this realm. Welcome, Chuck. And
I got to get you to do all my introductions, man. Oh my
yeah, well,
God.
that's easy. You know, I'll give you a phone
Yep.
number.
Oh, I love it.
We really love you, my friend, and so we give you the floor, and we are familiar with you, but you know, you feel free to say whatever, explain your process if you want, because who knows who's going to listen to this.
Yeah, that's a good point. Um, so this pops in just now too. So in line with the idea of the group, when I first joined the group, just a reminder for individuals when you're out there to try to allow yourself to explore the things that you have an inkling to explore, some sort of a desire to explore, and attempt not to hold yourself to any particular standard. Just do it. Just explore whatever it is you want to explore. It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't have to be this particular way of getting information. It can be anything. It can be runes. It can be tarot. It can be whatever it might happen to be. You'll probably have your own leanings, but just allow yourself to go there. You know, it's. I found, you know, in my exploration, I have found that the freer that I approach that particular idea, the more of me shows up. You know, just naturally. And so, you know, I can't advocate that enough. Just allow yourself to do it. Don't worry about how you think it should be done, how you think it should sound, how you think it should be expressed, anything like that. Just do it, um, and uh, and it will blossom for you. It will become uh, something that you will not only enjoy more, but something that will. I'll just use this word: serve you more also. So yeah, I guess I'll just, you know, toss that out there. And of course, for those of you guys who have hung around with me, you know that that was a mixed uh, me just then.
That's the multidimensional version of Chuck.
Yes, right. Yes, it's it doesn't take long for that friend of mine to slide from being on my shoulder right into the right into this area and express through that particular energy center. Um, so it's interesting because you know, frequently I'll get a little idea about kind of the theme that's going to be shared. And I had uh, one in mind that kind of popped in a little before. And then, and so this might be a double decker. We'll kind of see. Because then it changed when Serge and I had our interaction, and he took his cue from something I said, which I said because of something I think it was you mentioned, Luis, or something like that. It's so great how that stuff works. So yeah, so let me grab a little bit more of this H2O stuff.
That's another expression of how connected we really are.
Yes, I know, right? Those Bashar people will be going synchronicity, synchronicity, you know. Okay, let's get the show on the road. So, of course, we will greet all of you as if we haven't already been addressing you, which, of course, we have been. And once again, we just want to remind you how much we do enjoy your energy, how much we do enjoy interacting with it. And so, as our good friend opened a particular door for everybody, we believe we'll follow up with that with a theme that is close, but a little bit of a different tangent. And the idea would be this. So, the concept that was explored earlier was that you are the makers of meaning. And what we would like to add to that is to pay attention to what it is that you make important. Even though at this period of time you are within this transition period of yours, within this place where you are shifting your consciousness, using it in different ways, you are still quite used to looking at your outer world in, we'll utilize this word even though it might be a little strong, but almost habitual ways. There are default ways that you look at physical reality, how you think it works in your life, the way that you believe it moves in your life, the effect that you believe it has in your life. And so, because of the way that you've interacted with physical reality within the idea of linear time for so long, you place importance on a number of things. Now, of course, that importance is always about you in your life. Every time you look at something that's going on in the world, every time you have an experience, it's always filtered through, what does this mean to me? Which, of course, is as it should be, because it is your experience of reality. You would have to be, in those terms, quite an advanced individual to be aware of what somebody else's experience of reality is in this moment. So you know your experience of reality. As a result of that, as the various moments of your day come to you, there are some that, for a variety of reasons, hold more importance to you than others do. And what we would like you to do is to pay attention to those moments. Pay attention to those moments that hold importance to you and see if in that recognition you can be aware of why. Why does that particular subject matter? Why does that particular event? Why does that particular person? Why does that flow in my life hold importance to me? And we suggest you do this because you will learn a great deal about yourself as you do this. And learning more about yourself gives you the most powerful tool you could have in the reality that you're creating. There's a metaphor that we've heard before that we are partial to as well. Is that even in the midst of this journey, there are times where it can feel like you are a leaf in autumn being blown around by the wind. You're being blown here, you're being blown there, and you have no idea why you're being blown all over the place. This practice of paying attention to what it is that's important to you and being aware of why it is important to you will help you in that regard. It will help you to realize that there are themes that are moving in the background with those things that are important to you. Now, you understand, of course, because many have mentioned this, that you always have choice. And this is something, of course, that your history, again, in that linear way of thinking about things with physical reality, would almost say is untrue. That on occasion you may have choice, but largely it's not so flexible. It's not so much up to you about what happens in your life. And again, this is something else that you are changing for yourselves. But again, you are quite familiar with the way physical reality, we'll use this term, was. And so in that, it takes some practice to totally embrace the idea that you always have choice. Practicing with the idea of what seems to be important to me and why is it important to me. And in that, learning more about yourself aids you in choice, aids you in being able to choose how it is you would like to direct the flow of the moments that are coming to you in your life. Now, in those difficult times especially, we're going to suggest that the thing that you make the most important is you and your choices and the directions that you would like to go. Earlier, there was a question about being able to help the collective consciousness. This is one of the most powerful things you can do to aid other individuals. Because, of course, you're aware through information that you've gathered through various sources that your connectivity to all of consciousness is immediate. It's always there. So if you are making choices because those choices feel right for you to make, that type of energy is sent out into all that you're connected to and reinforces everybody else's ability to do exactly the same thing. It may seem, when you're doing that you are being a little selfish in how you're approaching your life. If that theme is playing out, in other words, if what you're doing is you're choosing intentionally to conduct yourself in a way that in some way is going to be uncomfortable, challenging for another individual, not in response to doing what is true for you, but for a different reason, you will know that. You will feel that. You will be aware of that within yourself. So, especially in those times when things are challenging for you, make the choices that you need to make for yourselves. Make yourself what's important. So we want to pause at this point and see if there's information you would like to interject, something you would like us to fill out, or perhaps something you would like to blend into what we've shared with you so far.
Thanks for that opportunity. Go ahead, Luis.
I was just going to say something about choices. And isn't that the most important thing that we can be doing? Making choices and being conscious of the choices.
So you are perpetually making choices. There is never a time when you're not choosing. The idea is, within this experience, as you've mentioned, are you doing it in an aware way? What is it that you're allowing to influence the choice that you're making? Be aware of those things and then choose from that place. Is it really something that I would like to influence my choice? Now, in the beginning, because of experiences you may have had, you may not quite feel the freedom to make certain choices. We'll we'll suggest, excuse us, that you utilize an aspect of yourself that was brought up earlier in this evening, and that being your imagination. Play with that aspect of yourself. Construct similar scenarios to the one that you found difficult to make the choice. And within those scenarios, make the choice. Do that frequently. Doesn't have to be the same scenario, just something that's like it, something that has a similar theme to it. And in that, allow yourself to make the choice. And then invite into your quote unquote physical reality an event that is similar in nature, but much milder in nature. Where to make the choice in that situation, even though it's a similar theme, is much easier for you to do. You will do that for yourself. You will provide, first of all, the energy, the theme, the doorway through the imagination, and then you invite the event in to your quote unquote physical experience of a milder nature, one that the inner you knows you can actually make the choice you want to make the choice in. And you will have that show up for you. That will give you momentum. It will give you energy to continue to make a choice in that kind of an event with that kind of theme that was difficult for you to do before. Does that
So
make some sense?
It makes sense. So try not to get blocked.
Indeed. And of course, we understand some choices are very challenging choices to make, even if you know they're true for you. And that's all okay. And in that, if you find yourself in that position, and you've heard this from many individuals, please do not judge yourself. Do not say that I should have or why couldn't I? Things like that. Those are totally not worth your time to do. They are not helpful at all. All you can think of, if you'd like to, is okay, I will have another opportunity, because you will. There is never an ending to another opportunity. Never. And so never be hard on yourself. Just know that sooner or later, you'll provide yourself with an opportunity that you'll be able to take.
Thank you, Chuck. Ray, you.
and Chris Chuck combo. One of the things that came through that made me really reassess myself is living a life that is intuition led. I had trained myself not to be concerned with why. I would get a message to do something, and then I would do that to the best of my ability and never really concern myself with the backstory, we will say. And now, apparently, after listening to your message today, it is time for me to integrate that part of the decision making into my reality as well. So I really appreciate that. My question came about because I was listening to Ryoka, another channeled entity, who said that there are other planets in our solar system which, like many beings on our planet, are not dimensionally compatible with our senses, so that our scientists and no one else for the most part are able to detect them. I'm not interested so much in that, but I am interested in more of the beings which we are unable to sense on our planet, which we will be able to sense after the ascension, so to speak, like the tall whites. But are there others? And the second half of me says, if I focused more on what is happening now and did not focus on what might happen in the future, it might serve me better. Thank you.
We will address your second part very rapidly and say yes, because it is so very simple. The first part we will address in this manner. You are aware that there are an incalculable numbers of your planet, correct? There are an infinite number of Earths. There are an infinite number of yous, versions of yous. So it's always interesting. And of course, when an individual shares information with others who have a curiosity to explore more of who and what they are, they may or may not be aware of how familiar they are with themselves in that moment. It may make no difference because each individual will be drawn in that regard, like they are to all things, but in this situation, will be drawn to individuals that will share information that will fit with them at that moment. Does that mean that that information may ultimately be enlightening? Not necessarily. Although we're saying that that's not true here. We're just saying that not necessarily. It may fit with the individual for their own reasons at that time. Valid reasons for the individual, but not necessarily reasons that will help them expand, shall we say, into a different understanding of self. And there's nothing wrong with that. So, when an individual says, beings that are on your planet, of course, you are not on your planet. Your planet is an idea. Now, it's a very powerful idea, and it provides you with an incredible experience. But there's an idea that's being conveyed. And that idea that's being conveyed is that there are others around you all the time, but you know this, of course. There are others around you all the time. Many of those individuals you are unfamiliar with in this moment. You do not perceive in this moment. In fact, if you could perceive in this moment all the quote unquote physical individuals on your planet in this moment, you would be perceiving a small fraction of the individuals that you are actually interactive with in this moment. All of those, maybe we'll say 8 billion individuals, are a small fraction of all of the individuals that you're interacting with because you connect to all of consciousness. Now, when an individual shares information like this, typically what they are attempting to convey is that there are aspects of consciousness that are interactive with you, that are there to provide you with help if you need it, with guidance if you need it, with verification that there's something going on beyond what individuals traditionally thought was true with their reality, and many things like this. So yes, indeed, there are quite a number of quote unquote planets around you that you have no idea are there. Something else is interesting is that you have stories that talk to you about a flow of where you came from, a progression of planets within your solar system that you lived on. Again, keep in mind, if you would, that time is simultaneous. So what's actually being talked about here is civilizations that you're inhabiting in this moment. Because in this moment, in your reality presently, you have craft that you have sent past certain of these planets. And there's no habitation on the planet right now. However, there is habitation on the planet. And you are there, but it's not in this dimension. And none of that makes any difference, really, because you do not inhabit the same dimension from moment to moment anyway. So we hope that that answered some of what you were asking.
It did, but it also, that's part of where I had the operational belief that I did not need to know why. Because
Correct.
I just accepted that, hey, this is the message that I get. The fact that I received it in this manner, in this particular frequency, with this energetic signature, means that I need to respond, because that's what my higher selves have dictated, or what I interpret as that. So I just need to respond without hesitation, as opposed to knowing why or who sent it or what's going to happen after I do this. I look at it as more of a, or I felt my role was more of a pure service oriented, but you've helped me re-examine that so I have more depth to what I get, because I'll see something and I'll know that it has significance. And there's an energy signature about it which communicates to me. Now, I may not know why, and it may not be significant until later for a synchronicity, or somebody might say, "Do you know where this was?" And all of a sudden, yes, I do, because I just saw this, and it's whatever the life situation is.
We'll tie this into your earlier comment about intuition. Being an individual who pays attention to intuition, many times you know that intuition will guide you to take actions that make no sense in the moment. This is similar. It's not important where the information came from in the moment. If it is important someplace in quote unquote the future, you will become aware of where it came from in that then future, we'll call it. Otherwise, it's the information and what you do with it that has import, not necessarily the source of the information.
So I'm also guessing that it would be important to just keep doing it the way that I'm doing it, only to add a reflective overview to help gauge the significance and other nuances of why it happened the way that it happened when it happened.
Yes, we would say pay attention in line with the theme that we began with to what about it is important to you and why it's important to you. That will bring you the nuances of the message that will augment your journey.
Thank you, Chris. Or, excuse me, to say to Chuck.
We are quite close, the two of us.
Lucky us.
We will mention something that we almost let off with. As this group gathers and enjoys gathering and sharing information with whomever may show up, and as other groups do the same thing, non-physical individuals enjoy doing similar things and expressing themselves in similar themes. Chris and I hang out, shall we say, in that regard. We are not strangers to each other. And we will leave that to your imagination.
Fabulous disclosure. Thank you so much for throwing that little tidbit in, that little Easter egg for us and whoever watches the video to find. Thank you.
Heidi.
I got assigned to ask a question by Ray. He just put my name on there. But what we were just talking about, does this mean that you also know our guides who probably regularly attend these meetings with us?
We are familiar. We are familiar with, for us to have this interaction with you, we must be in collaboration with the rest of you. Otherwise, we will say it this way. However you would like to phrase the more encompassing you, whether you would like to call it the entity, the oversoul, the essence, whatever, that aspect of you is never intrusive to another aspect of consciousness. When consciousness interacts with itself, it is always through collaboration and cooperation. So for us to have this type of an interaction with you, we are in collaboration with the encompassing you. And so we are familiar with you, and we are familiar with other aspects of you as well that do, as you say, guide you, and even other entities, essences, oversouls, whatever you would like to say, that serve in that position as well. So yes.
So who's having the real meeting then? These four personalities or all of you? What's going on behind the scenes here?
What's going on behind the scenes is an expression of consciousness that metaphorically and symbolically is reflected in the changes that you see in your own lives. Very metaphorically, very symbolically reflected in the changes that you see in your lives. Because of the connectivity that you have with all of consciousness, and because of the dynamic nature of the actuality of your being, you would not understand the way that these themes are being played out in that particular landscape, shall we say. Nor, from this perspective, is that necessarily important. When you finish with your exploration here in those terms, and when you once again understand yourself as all of what you are, which in fact you do every time you sleep, you'll understand what it is you're doing. You're well aware of what it is you're doing. It's only as you're aware to have a different experience that you do what you're doing right now. Because in that other experience, you can't have this kind of an experience. You can't explore the themes that you're exploring in, maybe we'll say, such a precise way.
She takes good notes.
Heidi, do you want to follow up?
Sorry, those words just really opened up.
We felt that. So, did you feel us withdraw a little bit when that happened with you? Or you were maybe just paying attention to you closely? We did for a moment. We withdrew in that connection. We, maybe you will call it, backed off a little bit as you had your moment, to allow you your moment without our energy being there. But yes, we felt you make that shift in yourself.
It felt like it was myself confirming what you were saying to me.
Confirming what you know to be true about yourself and your journey.
Mm-hmm. In what sense do you mean backed off?
So, as we speak now, we are quite interactive. My energy and your energy are, my energy is influencing, shall we say, in collaboration with your energy. It's as if we meld, we merge that larger you and us as this interaction occurs. When that occurred, and it's immediately recognized by us, we mute that experience that's happening at the level, shall we say, of that larger you, so that from your perspective, your experience with you is more pure.
Yeah, I agree. That's exactly how that felt.
Is there anything else?
Thank you for that.
You're quite welcome.
Yeah.
That's why you wanted to ask the question.
You never know why somebody suggests there's something that you may want to do.
So the Seru, lots of things have come, people say things and then the thoughts go here and there. But I was thinking about how to balance ourselves between the presence that we need to be in this embodiment and the various other multidimensional aspects of our being. And using your wisdom, the wisdom of Disetu and the wisdom of Chuck, what can you tell me about that?
We're going to ask you to expand that a little bit for us, if you would.
So let's see. I'll hone it into the me perspective a little bit. I can easily wander off and not be around here. To other people, I may look like I am here, but I am not exactly here. And therefore, not so much now, but, and there have been periods of my life in which I was significantly aloof by the standards of others. So I was not holding the embodiment that I needed to hold into the presence, at least as I related to others. Nowadays, the way that translates for me is the ability to focus on something and keep the focus until I get to the next step, so to speak. And what makes that a little difficult is the fact that the infinite is opening more and more, and the possibilities are endless, including the possibilities that show up in dream time. And so I was looking for some wisdom from your great reservoir.
So earlier, Chris mentioned the idea of being in your moment, being present to the now. What you're experiencing, of course, is that your now is becoming something different, which, of course, maybe we could use the term is to be expected, because, of course, you are becoming something else. As you allow yourself to explore, as you allow yourself to question, as you allow yourself to investigate, you change. Your moments are different. Your now is different. The difficulty that we sense a little bit with you is almost within the idea of reminiscing. In other words, a tendency to remember what your past moments were like, how you interacted with your reality in your past moments. This muddles the energy, maybe we'll use that word. And it brings your choices to you and your feedback to you in a way that can be difficult for you to read sometimes. And so in that, we would suggest, as much as you possibly can, embrace the changes that you feel in yourself. Embrace the way that your experience of yourself is becoming different. Allow that to bring you your moments in whatever way it will. And when those moments show up for you in a different way, which they will, attempt not to compare them to how the moments used to show up for you. Attempt not to question that they are showing up different now. Attempt to trust that they are showing up different now and that they will continue to show up different now. In that, as you make your decisions from that place, you will find yourself making the decisions that not only benefit you, but benefit the individuals that you are interactive with.
I've become more and more aware of the fact that there's not a particular real now personally. And I have started calling the now the infinite now because of all the things that come and the choices that can be made about them. I appreciate the information, Lisa. Thank you.
So, as others have mentioned, and we'll tie in Ray's concept of intuition, and beyond that, all the things that'll let you know that a choice is correct for you, pay attention to all those things that you're familiar with. You'll know when a choice is the choice for you to make. Now, they may not always be perfect, and sometimes they can be a challenging choice. But in an increasing way, you will have some inkling about why, even though it's a challenging choice, it's beneficial to you in this moment.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. You're muted, Ray, if you're attempting to share with us.
Why, thank you for your perceptive skills.
Those are usually yours.
And speaking of knowing when you should make a choice, I had questions about the hybrid children and was promptly reminded again that any such query should be directed inward for best benefit of self. So I'm going to switch that and do that exploration on my own. Thank you for that suggestion. And I, as part of my process for channeling the beings of light, I invite in the elementals, the wood sprites, the forest energies. I'm just going to give you a list and see if I'm missing any. I invite in the 6 directions, including the in and out, I will say, which also work for up and down or whatever you want to call it. And the energies of the wind, air, fire, water, earth, inner earth, and then rocks and minerals, street creeks, streams, rivers, ponds, oceans, rock, and are there any other significant spirits taking forms we would recognize on Earth? I mean, I know there are, but I'm trying to just give loving gratitude for all of those beings and their support. And I realize that, even a drop of water or a waterfall has its own individual spirit. But I interact with a wind spirit, Eliana Bella, on a regular basis. She is my sweetheart, and I love her dearly, and we have a wonderful um, connection, I will say. But I was just wondering if there's more exploration in that area that I can include in my gratitude. Thank you.
We would say that if there needs to be additional representation, it will be something that you will pop into you as an impression type of thing, more impression than it is intuition, maybe imagination and impression, if those things are necessary. Understand, of course, that they are all aware of your acknowledgement and gratitude and appreciation of the interaction. If you enjoy addressing them in that way, you can certainly continue to do that. They will certainly be aware of that, regardless of whether you do or not, however. They are quite connected to what it is you're doing. So if it's something that you enjoy, then go ahead and continue that. And if there are others, you will become aware that there's something to add to that for you. But as far as the question, and in this moment, does there need to be? There does not.
Thank you. I think I will resort to more general terms, knowing that all of the relevant energies are aware. And it's like one of my love trees told me when I reach up to touch them to feel the love, one of them told me, we don't have to touch you to feel your love.
Indeed.
So, thank you.
Heidi, go ahead.
So, the original question I came up with earlier was about the energy from the tree in my backyard. I was spending a little bit of time this afternoon out there with the sun, and when I was about to go in, after sitting under the tree for a while, when I felt the tree, the energy felt very comfortable, neither too much energy or too little. Felt very, I always say clean, feeling like it matches my energy. So I'm just wondering, is the tree attuning to my energy, or am I attuning to the tree's energy, or both? And I just wanted to add that just a little bit ago, I was feeling uncomfortable, so I picked up my rock and it kind of helped me regulate the energies of my emotions, so that I, just felt calmer, or yeah, I don't know how emotions and energy works in detail, but so what's happening there?
So, natural expressions on your planet, trees, rocks, flowers, bushes, things of that nature, they express themselves in a steady state, a state of awareness of what it is they are, a flow of consciousness. When you, in collaboration, allow yourself to tap into those qualities that also lie within you, and then you contact them in whatever way you do it, you recognize not only reflection of your own state in that moment, but the natural beingness, the natural expression of that particular form of consciousness, the tree. So it is two things. It is the way it naturally expresses itself. And in that moment, it's also a reinforcement of the way you're expressing yourself in that moment. Certain aspects of consciousness share information very effectively through all the various expressions of nature. Certain individuals align themselves with that. It is a quite valid way of gathering that information, as valid as any other form is. You have that, we're going to phrase it this way because it will have some impact. You have that gene, shall we say, within you. And so when you interact with rocks, when you interact with trees, when you interact with other things like that, there is a camaraderie, we'll phrase it like that in a moment, that occurs. An exchange of energy, of knowingness that is quite familiar to you. We suggest that you continue to explore that. You'll find that it will play a very nice part in your life. It is not your imagination. It is not fanciful. It is, there is no other form of communication that has occurred on this planet that is more valid. That is a valid one. It occurs with many individuals, not all individuals, even those who explore for a long period of time, lean in that direction. They do not have the ability, we don't like that word. They do not choose to gather information in that way. You do. And because everything is consciousness, it will work in that manner just like it will in all others.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Thank you very much.
He said, as a very last request,
We were thinking along the same lines, my friend.
yeah, if
How
you
very
could
intuitive of
actually,
you.
yeah, if you could transmit something that can go directly into the hearts of those that will view this or listen to it.
Indeed. And this will lend itself to the one of the earliest comments we made when we began, where there was another theme that we thought we might express. And then, as our good friend expressed their energy, we chose to express something different, which is what we have just done. So, along the lines of what you were asking, we would ask everybody, to the greatest degree that you possibly can, attempt not to compare yourself. It serves you in no way, shape, or form. Express yourself in the way that feels right to you. Express yourself for the reasons that feel right for you. And attempt to be good with that. And that's what we would offer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're quite
Excellent
welcome.
advice.
Thank you.
from our hearts to yours.
Always.
Always.
And he's back, and he's here, and he's gone, and he's back, and he's here, and he's gone.
It only
Yeah,
takes
right?
a microsecond.
It's just a yo-yo.
Yeah, a microsecond.
It's
What can I
delightful.
say?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm walking the dog. I'm doing the cradle thing. Whatever.
How interesting. You know, we talk a little bit about the self here tonight, and I was thinking in the background a couple of times about the law of one and the concept of service to others and service to self. And all of a sudden, something said, "It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter." You know, service
two
to
sides
others
of the
is
same
service to
coin.
self. Yeah, and service to self will turn into service to. It doesn't matter.
It's all about the connectivity. We are so connected that when you do the things that are true for you, that ripples out and it aids everybody else to do that with themselves.
Yeah. And, you know, I feel that having compassion for ourselves is the key to having compassion, period. You know, and
Sure.
it just opens all kinds of doors. Once you can show some compassion, even with somebody that, you know, fundamentally, whatever view they have of life and how they carry themselves, it's not your way at all. You know, there's
Right.
an element of compassion that can be shown with respect, and I think it goes long ways to.
Whatever you don't allow yourself, you will find very difficult to allow to others.
Right.
Yep. And along with compassion is the authenticity, because like Desatu mentioned, that whenever you act on your authentic self, then that allows the other person and reminds them that they can act as their authentic self as well. They don't have to hold those guises or conform to a specific role or
Well, yeah,
expectation.
you know, you're sharing, tearing off some of your identity layers, and then you become more capable to connect to whatever, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah, your
And
experience becomes different.
Yeah.
and I think it's amazing that in all of creation, no two energies can interact without sharing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, right?
That's just fascinating, because we have no idea on how many levels or layers and about any of that. And in the end, it does not matter.
It's so interesting to me that, in our natural state, from moment to moment to moment, we're changing all the time.
Mhm.
Yet we create an experience for ourselves where change can be something that we find very suspect many times. It's just, I mean, think of how effective we have to be at creating a particular playroom for ourselves, when we're surrounded by ourselves all the time, and it's completely different than what this experience is. How powerful we are to be able to do that.
Indeed. How is
Yeah,
Heidi
it's-
doing? Heidi, how are you doing?
Oh, she's doing great. She's got a
Yeah,
rock
You're
in her
gonna
head, man.
you're gonna have to talk to us about all these good things that have been happening here
Well,
today
do we
for
want
you.
to stop the video and have a discussion afterwards about that? Because we want to hear about Chuck's trip too.
Oh yeah, we don't know anything
Yeah, we
about
could do
Chuck's
that.
trip. There we are.
I'll fill you in on some other cool stuff too.